Let me start off by saying this. Cynics criticize while critics analyze. For me, I am an analyst and also a reactionist. So everyone that says that, oh, you're a journalist and you do a really crappy job, I just laugh because that is not what I do. So this is my opinion on what is going on between the Lawrence camp versus the Deegan camp, USA versus Australia. The Titans collide, or they don't collide because they're not going to race each other. I have some information, and it's not supposed to be taken as 100% factual. That is for you guys to determine. So without further ado, now that I have the disclaimer out of the way, let's talk a little bit more about this, because the big exhibition race / last round of the Australian Supercross is happening this weekend at Marvel Stadium. And truthfully, the only people that are really losing out is the entire world, right? The United States, they don't get to see their fanboy Deegan race against the arguably fastest rider in the world. And then Australia is really missing out because all the fans that have never gotten to meet Deegan don't get to, right? And so let's dive down the rabbit hole, because with every lie, there lies a little bit of truth in there. And I read this article on Vital, and truthfully, in defense of Michael Lindsay, he does a great job. He is a journalist. He gets everybody's take. My point is to just have an open mind and be like, what are the reasonings why people say what they say? Are they defending somebody? And let's talk about the agents. For instance, agents are designed not for the best of the country, of the series. No, their best interest is the riders and how much money they can bring to the riders. And unfortunately, Moto, what we've learned over the last decade or so is there's lots of politics involved, which is sad, right? When were the days of Bob Hanna where you just drop the elbow and you sniff the race gas and you just enjoy being outside? Well, those times are changing along with the entire atmosphere, including the world. So what is going on here is Michael Lindsay talked to all the parties involved, and these are some of the things that when I talk to people, because I reached out to this series, and the series told me, yeah, this is a lot of inaccurate information out there, so let me just clear that air here. Again, don't take it as 100% fact, because truthfully, we don't know. There's no lie detector test on either one, and you do have to understand that people have certain interests involved. The promoters are wanting to sell tickets and make their event the biggest and baddest. The agents want to have the best PR light for their riders, right? And, there's also people that just might not like each other, so they don't mind shedding sensationalism out there, per se. So what I caught wind of was the Lawrence aren't receiving any startup money for 2024, which I don't believe is true. I sincerely don't believe that is true. From everyone that I've reached out, that is inaccurate. And they're receiving payments based on how the event performs. Well, if that is true, let's just, hypothetically, you have the most popular rider there, Deegan. You think the event's going to do better? Think you're going to have a better paycheck? Oh, hell yeah, right? They're going to sell so much more by having him there. So, well, conceptually, your check to the bank would be bigger as well. So a little bit more context. This all kind of started when Deegan wanted to race, and he got stopped by racing. And so there was rumors out there that it was a banned, and it was in the contract that the Lawrence brothers agents made, right? We're talking about Lucas Myrtle here, and his job is the best interest of his riders. And from this, they received startup money to show up there. Their check is already cleared, right? From my understanding. And if that is true, well, let's just dive a little bit deeper. So I reached out and kind of this is what I found out as far as what was in that contract, because reaching out to the promoter, they told me that they can never release any contact terms whatsoever. I totally understand. That's how business works. Everyone has non-disclosure agreements. And unfortunately, this one kind of seemed like a non-compete clause. But anyway, what was in there was actually a safety clause that was going to prevent some riders from showing up for the safety of the Lawrence brothers. Anderson was on that list, possibly because of what they did the first couple rounds of Supercross. Barsha was on that list. That makes sense because what Barsha whiskey throttled into the side of Jet. Freeze was on that list because apparently, whenever you get within 10 feet of a landmine, it goes off. And I also heard that Roxon was on the list, and I'm not quite understanding why Roxon would be on the list, because when has that SOB ever really rode dirty, right? He's always been pretty kind. Never really seen him cross-jump anybody or take somebody off the track, so I found that one being somewhat interesting. But what is more interesting was Deegan was not on the list. Deegan was not on that list. So, as this article states, when Deegan's camp said that he was feeling good and he wanted to show up for some of his fans in Australia, he started talking with people and it was instantly stopped because with the Lawrence brothers being co-partners with this event, they had the ability to prevent him from showing up. And apparently there was a little bit more mumbo jumbo that went on where it's like, hey, we want you to apologize and etc. And they didn't want to do that. But ultimately, it was just that he was stopped from going racing. And then that led to the spiral that is, hey, what was actually on this said piece of paper? And allegedly, it was a safety clause that said these guys can't go anywhere, right? So the next thing was that this is a 10-year agreement between the Lawrences and the promoters. And there is no long-term agreement between them, right? There's no long-term agreement. There's probably some agreement, right? Again, with every sort of truth, there lies somewhere in the middle, right, of what's actually going on. So that's for you guys to determine what this whole situation is. And unfortunately, I will give you my final take on it here in just a bit. But we see that one of the reasons as to why Deegan was not going to be there was less than 3,000 tickets left. So they weren't going to be able to afford to have Deegan show up. From my knowledge, there is 4,000 plus tickets left. And if you just think on average, you have like $80 to $120 a ticket, right? That's almost $500,000 right there. Plus, if you say, hey, some of those are VIP, maybe 50 of them, that's another $50,000 to $100,000 right there. And as long as Deegan's not asking for $3 million, I don't see the problem in that. And also the event, as far as the live streaming going on, that's where they're going to make a lot of the money, is the viewerships, the commercials between the races, and then the merch at the actual event. So from the promoter standpoint, they want to have them there. And according to this, of what the agents say, that the Lawrence brothers are making money on how the event performs. Why wouldn't you want it to be the biggest performing event in Australian Supercross history, right? So there's some smoke going in here. And when it comes to that merch, Feld gets a take of the donuts being sold at the Supercrosses, all t-shirts being sold. So why wouldn't the AUS-X have the same type of stipulation as well? So from that standpoint, it was a blocking situation of multiple riders. And if any of this is true, more than anything, it's disappointing. I am disappointed in the Lawrence brothers that there is even this kind of stuff going on, And is this just the agents' involvement? Because riders, they're just workhorses. They just train and ride and race. and they want to race the best. And if this truly is supposed to just be an exhibition race, well, then you have everyone sit down and you go, hey, guys, we're here to make face with the fans and make it like a Red Bull straight rhythm where let's all stay safe and, let's have fun on our motorcycles because we've got big money series that we're contracted to race in the upcoming 2025 Supercross and Motocross season. And that's just the standard. But to have it be where there is stuff hidden, well, unfortunately, sometimes that stuff comes to light, whether you want it to or not, whether it be 100% factual or kind of right there in the middle. And my take is just, I'm kind of embarrassed to find out that this stuff is somewhat going on. And it's a shame for the super fans of the Lawrence brothers because they are the fastest riders right now. I mean, at least one of them is. Jed is. And then you have the most popular rider. And we should all be able to coexist and race. And that's kind of what brings a lot of stuff, dude. I became a huge Jason Lawrence fan after he was getting inside of Dungey's head. So you mean to tell me that there's not a way to sell and monetize their battle? And truthfully, I don't even know what Deegan did to these boys, right? He said some quacky things on the podium, which is all good. It's good for TV. It's good for the sport, right? Let's not pause stuff inside of contracts, which that is, again, the biggest disappointment I have in this whole thing. And I want to know what you guys think about this whole freaking situation. So that is my reaction to the news of what is going on between these two giants. And I want everyone to have a good Thanksgiving. Till next time, keep it WFO. Ba-ra-da-da-da-da-da.